All right, let's start by taking a deep, deep breath, knowing that we are so blessed to be here together. Just relax into our own space here this moment, feeling your support by the seat that you're in and by the floor, the earth beneath that. Relax into our heart space. And just give thanks for this time together to share our oneness and grow in our awareness of our spirituality and the truth of who we are. And that truth is that we are spiritual beings experiencing a human physical life. And also growing in the awareness that we are loved, guided, and protected by compassionate, non-judgmental, higher power, God, or by whatever name you choose to call it. We give thanks for the many blessings we will receive from this morning's service, and give thanks to all who have contributed their time and talent to make it possible. In our Unity community, we are many times blessed, and know this to be the truth, and give thanks that it is so. And in this time of seeming turmoil and upheaval in the world, wars and disagreements, we hold to the higher truth that the universe that was created by this higher power, love and peace and joy are the truth of that creation. And by holding to that truth, we do put our energy into holding the truth of peace, joy, and happiness for all. We give thanks to God for the love which permeates the minds and hearts of all the people of the world and blesses the earth with justice and peace. And that love which enfolds the earth and brings peace and understanding to all people. We know this to be the truth, and we give thanks that is so. And we make these prayers and give these thanks in the name and after the nature of the indwelling Christ Spirit. And so it is, and so it is. Amen and amen. And now let's take together the mission statement, which has changed a bit, so don't find yourself, well, actually, if you do find yourself saying the other one, it's perfectly fine. All right, together, please. Unity of Charlottesville is a welcoming, inclusive spiritual community dedicated to love in action. And now, together again, please, our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
Thank you, Buddy. Let's give Buddy a loving Unity of Charlottesville. And now we have our other guest musician, Danny Schmidt, who's going to sing one of his very own, Company of Friends.
them know me as the footprints that I've left upon the sand. Let them laugh for all the laughter. Let them cry for laughter's end. But when I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. And when I die, let them toast to all the things that I believe. Let them raise a glass to consciousness and not spill a drop for grief. Let the bubbles rise at midnight. Let their tongues get light as thieves. But when I die, let them toast to all the things that I believe. 'Cause I believe in restless hunger. I believe in red balloons. I believe in private thunder. In the end, I do believe. And I believe in inspiration. I believe in lightning bugs. I believe in slow creation. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in ink on paper. I believe in lips on ears. I believe what's shared is savored. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in work on Sundays. I believe in raisin barns. I believe in wasting Mondays. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in living smitten. I believe all hearts can mend, and I believe our book is written by our company of friends. So when I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. Let them know me as the footprint that I've left upon the sand. Let them laugh for all the laughter. Let them cry for laughter's end. But when I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dammy. Well, as you know, I have been arranging our guest speakers for almost 11 months now. Reverend Don set up the first 5 months, and I just sort of made sure all those folks showed up. And then during the summer, we went through some changes, and once the new year started, I worked with Catherine to kind of include guest speakers for the Sundays when she's not speaking. She speaks twice a month. So in March, that meant we had 3 opportunities, and I reached out to the guest speakers that we'd had and enjoyed and loved, and they sent back the dates when they were available, and we filled up through June. Well, except for this morning. So Catherine said, well, why don't you give the message? And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, well, I have before, but not here at this Unity of Charlottesville. So thank you for the opportunity to share some of my thoughts. When I started thinking about a title, God gave me Only Believe, Flying on Faith. And I had no idea that Danny was going to sing the perfect song to go into this talk. Only Believe is the title of a song that Elvis Presley recorded some decades ago. Very, very popular. I'm not going to sing it, but I will. I will share with you these words. Only believe. Only believe. All things are possible. Only believe. Sound a little like a unity song? But my question is it really true? You see, I have a little problem with it. And it's not the all things are possible. We know that as unitics. We know that. I have a problem with only. So let's take a look at believe and belief. It's a verb. It's defined as accepting something, an opinion, to think or suppose. In 1959, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, wrote in The Revealing Word, and I quote, "Belief is an inner acceptance of an idea as true. Belief is closely related to faith. Belief functions both consciously and subconsciously. Many false individual and race beliefs are very active below the conscious level." He wrote that in 1959, folks. Boy, is it still true today. If we go to the dictionary, Webster says believe is to consider to be true or honest, to have confidence in the truth, the evidence, or the reliability of something. Although, and here's the kicker, without absolute proof that one is right in doing so. Wow. Belief doesn't require proof, just acceptance. In ancient times, people believed that the earth was flat. And the appearance, looking out on the horizon, would give evidence that maybe that is true. Who's ever been at the beach for sunrise and looked out at the gorgeous sea, and slowly it turns pink and purple, and then suddenly there's this orange ball that just pops out of the sea? That's a magical moment, isn't it? Well, thinking about that vision, we can understand the people of ancient times and why they felt the way they did. Sailors were afraid to go out too far in the sea. They thought they'd sail off the end. It was widely believed until Western science introduced evidence for the planet's spherical shape. One has to be at an elevation of 35,000 feet in order to see the curvature of the horizon. So no wonder they didn't see it before. Well, here we are 400 years later, and there are still people who believe the earth is flat. Seriously. What is it that causes some people to hold a belief that others have soundly proven to be false? How often do we hear ourselves saying that? The internet is overrun with theories and beliefs that many of us find hard to fathom. How often have you said, "How can they believe that?" Well, let's look at a few reasons. Mistrust of authority or government. Good bit of that out there. Personal observation. That's going back to seeing is believing, like those early sailors. Some people seek community and belonging. They want to be around people that think and feel the same way they do. That can be positive, or it can be negative. Aren't we a community gathering together to share our common spiritual beliefs and grow together? So there's a positive example. But there are conspiracy theories, and that comes from misinterpretation of facts. Take vaccines. Perfect example, right? But what about our beliefs? Did you have a belief in childhood that no longer serves you? Anyone? Shout it out. The tooth fairy, right. As a child, did any of you ever wake up and all of a sudden there's one of your parents with the hand under your pillow because you lost your tooth that day? And of course, we can talk about Christmas time too. So there are beliefs that sometimes we hold as children, but as we grow, we outgrow those beliefs and move beyond them. When my daughter was quite young, about the age of 4, she said to me when we were leaving the grocery store, "Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be a cashier at Ingles." Well, I was a little disappointed, but I said, "Well, that's nice, sweetheart," and kind of let it go. So then a few weeks later, we were talking, and she said, "Mom, I've decided I want to be a veterinarian." And I said, "Well, you do love animals. That's good. I'm just curious, though. When we talked about this a few weeks ago, you wanted to be a cashier at Ingles. What changed your mind?" "Well, Mommy, they don't get to keep all that money." Our beliefs change as we grow. Our beliefs change and develop as we travel, as we meet new people, new cultures, as we have a better understanding of the world that's around us and beyond us. And our beliefs change as we get to know ourselves, as we grow spiritually. That's why we showed up today. As many of you know, I grew up in Unity. My maternal grandmother started as reading the Fillmore's books and pamphlets and information in the late 30s, early 40s. She went on to become one of 7 people who met as a study group for that purpose in Delray Beach, Florida. By the time I was born, they had a handful of people, maybe 40 or 50, that wanted to form a church. So they leased a space on Main Street up above the retail shops below and created the upper room. And on the sidewalk, there was this little staircase that just kind of went up with the Unity wings and the word Unity on it. It wasn't even a chartered church at that time. But I was also exposed to other religions. While my maternal grandmother was very, very deep into studying the Fillmores and truth principles, my father's mother was a devout Catholic. She became a widow in her early 50s. My father, oldest of 4, was in college, so he had to drop out, get a job, and work while his younger siblings completed school and then finally moved out of the house. So eventually, she moved in with our family during the school year. She had a very low self-esteem because she had had a hard life. She was constantly saying, "Life is tough." She always saw the cup as half empty. But my maternal grandmother and grandfather were vibrant and joyous. They had immigrated to this country before they married one another, fluent in French and German, but very little English. But they worked hard, they relied on their strong faith, and they not only succeeded, they flourished. So when I looked at the two opportunities, the two beliefs, it didn't take much to decide that Unity was where I wanted to go. It was just so joyous and so positive. And I had a hard time understanding why my other grandmother had such a low esteem. To me, as a child, I felt like her beliefs were holding her back, whereas my other grandparents, their beliefs were letting them soar. Their positive attitude helped me growing up and made the foundation of who I am today, because my parents allowed us to choose where we wanted to go to church. Let's shift now for a minute and look at faith. Going back to Charles Fillmore, in the Revealing Word, he wrote that faith is the perceiving power of the mind, linked to the power to shape substance. Shape substance. That's kind of changing things, isn't it? Spiritual assurance, the power to do the seemingly impossible. It's a magnetic power that draws unto us our heart's desire from the invisible spiritual substance within. Faith is a deep inner knowing that which is sought is already ours for the taking. Let me read that again. Faith is a deep inner knowing that which is sought is already ours for the taking. So in Unity, we don't pray and beseech God to give us what we need or forgive us. We believe that everything that we need is already within us. The 12 powers that Charles Fillmore taught us. We have the ability within us. It's a matter of opening our mind and our heart to activate that power in our life. Fillmore goes on to say, a close analysis shows that faith is the foundation of all man does. So of the 12 powers, that one is fundamental and foundational. Faith, working in spiritual substance, accomplishes all things. This is the faith that cooperates with creative law. When faith is exercised in deep spiritual consciousness, it finds its abode, its home. And under divine law, without variation or disappointment, it brings results that are seemingly miraculous. Who's had an experience that through your faith and through prayer, you had a response, you had an answer that just seemed miraculous? Look at the hands. Yeah. We see that on Wednesday nights so often in the prayer group. We have this wonderful foundation of Unity members that come together at 6:30 via Zoom, and we pray for all of the requests that come in through the prayer box, through the website, or through phone calls. And the answers have been miraculous. I don't just believe in God, Spirit, the divine, whatever you choose to call it. I know God at a deep spiritual level. I know that there is always that power when I remember to tap into it, that energy. I had the privilege of attending a YOU rally in Unity Village as a teenager. Who's been to the village? It's a magical place. If you haven't been, I suggest you look into it. The rally was a week long. It was a retreat for teenagers from Unity centers around the world. This was back in the 60s. So can you imagine hundreds of 15 and 16-year-olds descending on Unity Village for a solid week? Wow, it was quite an experience. The girls were housed in the dormitory, and back in the day, there was a motel separate, and that's where the boys were housed. So we came back from a very busy day. We had toured the village, seen all of the buildings, the printing press, the early workings of what was a farm in those days. And we got back to the dorm, and I was exhausted. My feet hurt, my legs were tired, I wanted to crawl into bed and just go to sleep. The counselor walked in and said, "Peggy, it's your turn to do Vespers tonight." So I picked up my Bible, I just let it fall open, and looked for inspiration. And 5 minutes later, it just wasn't coming. But it was my turn. So I surrendered. I turned within to God and I said, "I by myself cannot do this. Be the words that you would have us hear. I let go." So we gathered in the little living room that we had for our pod, and we sat in a circle, and I started a meditation, like having everyone get centered, move into our heart space, and breathe. And then, a moment later, I just felt so light, like a feather. I had just lifted up, and I was floating close to the ceiling, looking down at the group. I couldn't hear a word, but this tremendous peace settled over me. At the end of the meditation, at the end of Vespers, I couldn't remember what was said. Some of the other girls said that was the greatest meditation. But I suddenly realized that I was no longer tired. My feet didn't hurt. My legs didn't hurt. I felt as though I had had a huge rest. It was very transforming because it taught me as a 15-year-old that when we let go, when we can have faith, put God in charge, miracles do happen, and anything is possible. My understanding of the unity truth principles has gone in to guide me throughout life. When I look at the unity wings symbol, and that's where there's a sphere in the center and then the wings on either side. They've changed the logo a few decades ago, but Charles Fillmore designed the original wings. When I see that, the sphere in the center, I think he probably saw as our planet, and then the wings of faith that lifted up our planet. We even had it on the songbook. Wings of song. When I look at that symbol, I see myself in the center, and those wings to me are like angel wings that help me fly on faith. The rest of the title. As a real estate broker over the last 50 years, I've worked as an independent contractor, so no salary, no benefits. My income is what I drew to myself. And one of the most important tools in my toolbox was my spiritual understanding of unity. I relied on faith that I would be attracted to the people and the situations where I could help them and help myself. And it always proved me well. There are many examples that I could share with you about how Spirit led me to the right place when I wasn't even thinking about it at the right time and created business. What I would like to share with you is something that happened when I was attending church in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I moved here, it was hard because that was Unity of Charlotte, and this was Unity of Charlottesville. And Reverend Don kept saying, "Peggy, you're in the Ville." Because I'd leave that part off. Back in those days, I was very active in the prayer ministry and the board, like I've become here. We had 12 members on that prayer ministry. Very, very important number, right? And there, we met at church before the service in a circle, and we took time to pray for one another, and then we started praying for the requests in the prayer box. So we always felt we had to pray up first and make sure that we were supporting one another. Well, one Sunday morning I was doing my morning meditation, planning to go to church, and Spirit said, it's time for you to take over leadership of the prayer ministry. And I said, no. Polly has held that position for a decade. We love her. She's wonderful. She's just a rock of faith. Yeah. So I let it go. I didn't think anything more of it. And about an hour later, we were in our prayer circle, and as we were going around, Polly said, I need your prayers for healing. Then she shared with us that she had a diagnosis that was going to require really harsh treatment. And as a result, she was stepping down from her job, stepping down from her volunteer positions, including the prayer ministry. And she was asking one of us to step up. Well, of course, the first thing we did was put her in the center of the circle and just surround her with healing light and love and energy. And then when no one else said anything, I looked at Polly and I said, well, guess what God told me this morning? And I shared that experience, and Polly just smiled. She looked at me, and she said, all is in divine order. That was not a coincidence. Well, I've shared a few of my experiences about how unity has helped me become who I am today. I know you have just as many wonderful experiences, and I want to hear them. So I look forward to getting together in the terrace level on Sundays after service in a circle and just sharing what we've learned and how we've grown in unity. The other thing we wanted to share this morning was, yes, I've grown up in unity, but guess who else did too? Stevie has been a member of Unity of Charlottesville since he was, how little, Maria? Yeah, 2 or 3. And what we want to share with you is the importance of whenever you find spiritual teachings like unity, it's exactly when you are ready to receive them. But when you can start as a child, like Stevie and I, wow, what a difference it makes. So thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you this morning. Now let me give you Stevie.
Hi, everyone. If we haven't met, my name is Stevie. And if we have met, my name is still Stevie. As you may know, as Peggy has introduced you, I've been coming here to Unity of Charlottesville since before I can remember. I was in the Unikids program, I was a Uniteen, and then a YOUer. When I was growing up, the conditions of our church allowed for a thriving children's ministry, and for that I am eternally grateful. I have the honor of coming up here to speak on why I feel so lucky to have gone through this program and to speak about faith. I could tell you about why Unity is a great place to grow up because it means the absence of the dogmas of original sin, hellfire, and brimstone, or a need to be saved. I didn't know who Satan was until I was maybe 8. And then I didn't believe my parents when they were like, he's a monster from the Bible. I was like, I never heard about monsters in the Bible. What I do want to tell you about, though, is what my time in Unity's Youth Ed did teach me. It's a type of faith that persists. A type of faith that was so evident in the way that everyone showed up for each other and in the generosity that I saw in my peers and the adults around me at Unity and the generosity that they brought out in me. The adults supporting these youth programs, they had faith in me. To be looked in the eyes and told that I am the substance and the life of Christ. Really, to be in an environment as a young person where adults were listening to what I had to say, making space For my peers and me to wrestle with difficult spiritual topics and to talk about our own struggles openly was such a gift, so unique. It's absolutely not something that every child or teen gets. To be told, I see you, I accept you for who you are, I love you, and you have God inside you. Their faith in me greatly bolstered my own faith in myself. And to be told that what I had within me was a unique expression of God gave me faith that I could accomplish important things, that I could know deep down what is truly important, and that I had a place on this earth. And you know, those kind of things, that sense of self, it's something that I still struggle with sometimes, as I think most of us do. But I have that unity foundation to rest on that can bolster my faith without platitudes, but with truth. That's what really bolsters faith. And not truth in the way of worldly evidence, but truth in the deepest sense. I learned that faith is not just an act of letting go, but a process of letting God take over your spirit and move you to be your purest, freest, inherently good self. So faith isn't something you can just proclaim once and have it, as much as I think maybe we wish that it could. That's something that Unity does really well, is cultivates an understanding that spirituality is an ongoing journey, and you never reach, well, I don't think most of us are going to, reach that fullest Christ potential, but we strive for it every day. And it's always a struggle, and that's what's beautiful about it. Now, if we look to the Bible when we're talking about faith, James chapter 2, verse 17 says, "So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead." Faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. And this is the type of belief that Youth Ed has instilled in me. Faith lies in the balance between letting go and letting God, and stepping into our own power, knowing that it is up to all of us to be the Christ that we are, spreading God's love through our words and our actions. Faith means knowing that it is up to God, but like we sing, if it's to be, it's up to me, because we are God. And when I think of the people I grew up alongside and the adults who are shepherding us, I see God. That is the work of God. Another invaluable part of my Unity experience, I grew up seeing things like the Bible as a tool. We saw the Bible as a tool, not any more supreme or valuable than any number of other tools and insights and holy texts. Now, when I see a Bible quote like Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make you straight your paths." Now, when I see that, I know that I can interpret it metaphysically. Now, as jarring as it might be for a unitic, or maybe anyone who doesn't believe in predestination, to hear the words, "do not rely on your own insight," the practices of critical reflection and metaphysical interpretation that were taught to me growing up in Unity tell me that I can reevaluate this verse and I can find wisdom in it, as I can find the good in everything that I see. And if for whatever reason this verse would not serve me, I know that I have the power to release that which does not serve me. But if I want to look at this verse, I would recognize that in Unity, trust in the Lord means having faith that God is within us. So if we trust the Lord, we are trusting in our inherent Christ nature, whatever we know to be true deep down. So this means calling upon our innermost, purest, good self. That's another awesome thing about Unity. We're taught that we're good from the beginning. So do not rely on your own insight in this verse could mean do not become too caught up in your own physical experience, so much that you forget that you are a spiritual being who can draw on the innermost wisdom that you share with all these other spiritual beings, sharing this experience earthside. So, as we find our church in transition, let's remember to be faithful to our truest selves, because in having faith in ourselves, we can make that faith so all-encompassing that it moves us forward through tumultuous times in our church, tumultuous times in our world, tumultuous times in our lives, such as, growing up, teen years. And I want to thank you all for this opportunity to talk up here, and I'm going to play you all into meditation. We gotta meditate.
You're amazing. All right. Now I invite you to take a deep cleansing breath. Settle into the sunshine of this first day in March. Feel the anticipation of the spring buds poking through Mother Earth, ready to bring us glorious spring blooms. And I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable, to allow the chair to support you. Feel your feet grounded. And follow with me in this guided meditation if it feels comfortable. This is following up somewhat on what Reverend Catherine shared with us last Sunday in pulling a golden thread as we weave a tapestry. And I invite you this morning to create your tapestry, your fabric. So picture, if you will, a basket next to your feet, and it's filled with yarn and ribbons of many, many colors. These colors represent the 12 powers. And of course, we want our fabric to be well-founded. So I invite you to reach down and pick up a blue thread, a thread of faith, and weave this as you will. All of our tapestries will be individual and different and creative. So you might put a number of pieces of blue thread in your tapestry. And next, as you reach down, you find a green ribbon. Green is representative of strength. Where do you find the strength in your tapestry? Include it now. And we want some sunshine, so reach down and find a yellow thread. Yellow is the color of wisdom. And as we weave this yellow ribbon thread into our tapestry, we feel that deep-seated wisdom in our heart space. And of course, we must have love. So find some pink. Maybe it's a sleek thread. Maybe it's a nubby piece of yarn. Work that in. And of course, it wouldn't be our tapestry without imagination, so dig down in there and find a light blue ribbon. Incorporate that in your fabric. We need some sparkle, so pull up some silver. Silver represents our will. And life wouldn't be life without order. So a little olive green in there reminds us to keep balance and order in our life. And we want some zeal. There's some mornings when we just can't get going without some zeal. Sometimes it's in the form of a cup of coffee. And orange is the color that represents zeal. And sometimes there are things in our life that we just have to release. We just have to let go. So work in a little russet brown to remind you that letting go is okay. And this fabric, this tapestry, is about our life. So it's important that we remember that. So add some red. Red is the color that represents life. And take a moment now to look at your personal fabric, the designs that you have created, the beauty in this. And think on these 12 powers for a moment. What color pops out most for you in your fabric? Is it an attribute that you want to draw more of into your life? Or is it something that you're already expressing and expressing well? And let's take this thought, this attribute, your personal power, for a moment in the silence. In the silence. And now as we have put our energy and our attention on the colors in our fabric, I invite you to, like magic, turn it into a coat of many colors. Your coat might be short, like a jacket. Someone else's may be a full-length coat. And others may create a cape. It's very lightweight. You're not going to have to put it in the closet at the end of winter. And now see yourself slipping in to your coat. Feel the softness and strength at the same time. And know that everything in your coat already resides within you. Whenever we have a doubt, we can slip into our coat. Perhaps we're going to work and we have something challenging we have to face. We can wear our coat. And perhaps we have a day when we're just feeling sad and we need comfort. And we can snuggle into that coat and just feel comfort and love. So I invite you to take your coat with you. And again, don't hide it in the closet. Keep it handy. And every time you slip it on, know that you have everything that you need as a child of God, as a child of the light, whole and perfect in God's sight. And so it is. Amen.
A fire between us and hoped like hell to raise the phoenix, tear the world in two, the truths from the half the truths, the bald lies and bad disguises from the facts and Nobel prizes, yeah. Good lands of good neighbors and good friends, but we used to fight like dancers, one call with different answers. These were open land, and strangers were our future friends, but offenses make for consequences. We're prisoners of our own defenses, yeah. Been broken, we lost our way but found it stolen, hidden in a storm of nothing, a hurricane of newsmen blushing. Now our eyes are bleeding, tears of the loss of reason, a pool of our own objections. We're honest men with no reflections, yeah. Here's the choice, my sister, gentle warrior warrior, fierce resistor. Fill the sky like blackbirds, or sit and watch the world spin backward. Here's the choice, my brother, old soldier, different drummer. A march hard to break the borders, or stand guard the old world orders. Here's the choice, my child, raise your hands and reconcile. While the king kneels down before us, it's time for you to rise in chorus. It's time to set our anger free. It's time for facts to shade beliefs. It's time to name the new North Star. It's time for flames to skewer the dark. It's time to shake the voting booth. It's time for us to scream the truth. Now it's time, my friend. It's time to make us whole again. And just as the world revolves, let's get these broken days resolved.
Are we all filled up? We all filled up with love? I just want to thank Peggy and Stevie again for stepping out on faith and sharing your personal journeys with us as children growing up in unity. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now's the time to get back a portion of all the love we've received here today. There are many ways to give to UOC, Unity of Charlottesville. Online, text to give, the U.S. mail, here into our butterfly net that Barbara will be bringing around, and now through our very own QR code. So we're going to have another treat. Oh, we need to bless. We need to bless. Blessings of tithes and offerings. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And once again, the la-da-das.
Sorry, Luke. Start again. There's a load of worry and a world of trouble and so much heartbreak everywhere. No soul can carry such a heavy burden with no one to turn to, no one to share. And I've been discouraged, I felt defeated by cruel ways and hearts of stone. But a voice inside me says, love is mighty, you're not forsaken, you're not alone. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the light of dawn. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the morning sun. And I've joined the people, walking shoulder to shoulder, carrying signs, speaking with one voice. We're laughing and singing. We won't be silenced. We're taking a stand. We're making a choice. We stand for justice. We walk for freedom. We speak for the voiceless. We talk about love. We celebrate all of the human family. And our number is great as the stars above. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the light of dawn. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the morning sun. Hope is rising like the little bird singing to the fragrant earth as he takes his flight. Hope is rising, oh, let us embrace it as our eyes behold its heavenly light. We won't be discouraged. We are not defeated. We are not defeated. We are keeping the faith toward the day to come. There are heroes in waiting, champions in the making. Keep your lantern burning till you see the dawn. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the light of dawn. Like the light of dawn. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Hope is rising. Like the morning sun. Hope is rising. Like the morning sun. Thank you. Keep the faith.
Oh boy. Thank you for hope. Thank you for hope. Now we have Tony coming up to share some announcements.
Stand over here. So my name is Tony Bouchard. For those who don't know, I'm the president of the board. And so I want to walk through a few announcements that we have today just so people know what the cool things that are going on. So there's a Merca Kirtan on Saturday. It's going to be, where's it going to be? Can we just make it short, Jeff? Yeah. So can we, where's it going to be? Perfect. It's going to be in the meditation center from 2 to 3:30, and it's wonderful. And talk to Jeff if you want more information. Then the next one, Peggy, we're having a wonderful workshop today on cultivating nonviolent communication. It's downstairs at 12:30 to 2:30 in the large classroom. If you'd like to attend, it's think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for people to learn about this really important skill and consciousness. There's also, in the meditation room, there's a talk by Tara Lohan, who is the author of Undammed. She's an environmental journalist, and she's here to talk to us about how can small groups of people who want to make a difference in terms of the environment take effective action. So that will start at 12:30 to 1:30. And we always have the wonderful healing helpers in the corner and individual prayers with Buddy. You're welcome to join them if you have prayers that you'd like to do. The reason I ran, it shouldn't be next week. Oh, wait, next week is, yes, we're so excited. Blair is going to be the speaker next week.
Yeah. I have a title. I have a title now. The title is Words and Music by God.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm so excited about that, Blair. That's wonderful. So the reason I ran through the announcements kind of quickly was because I'm really excited. The whole board is excited. And we kind of did a preview about starting our spring fundraiser when we talked at the Prosperity meeting last Sunday, when we had the community meeting. I can't tell you how every single part of this service, Peggy, Stevie, the music, Danny, the Lala Das, all of you built to this wonderful place of helping us step into the future. Because that's really what our spring fundraiser is. And yes, it's about money, but it's about so much more than money, because it's our spirit of energy that we bring into the future. I was thinking about how many times all of us have stepped into the future, and we've done it since we can remember. We stepped into the future when we walked into the school when we were in kindergarten or first grade. We stepped into the future in our new job, or in our first date, or our first committed relationship. And some of us stepped into the future when we left that committed relationship. We've stepped into the future for many of us when we decided to come to Unity, because a lot of us weren't like Peggy and Stevie. We made a choice to be here. And so this is another opportunity for us to step into our future as Unity of Charlottesville. We have a fundraising goal of $135,000. 95,000 of that is for operating expenses. That's typically what we've often done fundraisers in the past, were for operating expenses. But there are some projects that we really want to get done. And we've talked about those a little at the Prosperity meeting around replacing some of the HVAC systems in the Fillmore House and the Peace House, upgrading our sound system and the online experience, and also fixing some of the trim and eaves and soffits on all three of the buildings. But it's really so much more than just about the money. A lot of the things that you see up here, the rocks, they represent things that are part of bringing our whole self to the warehouse, right? When they talk about tithing. It isn't really all just money. A lot of it has to do with people willing to step up to be champions of some of these projects that we'd like to do. We talked about wanting to involve our neighborhood community far more, which have a lot of immigrants and a lot of low-income families, and to do more with the people who live really very close to us. We have a wonderful ongoing relationship with the Tibetan community who use our Fillmore House every weekend to keep their culture and language going. And yet we haven't actually really interacted with them. And so there's this great opportunity, and we've talked to the Tibetan community about doing a joint potluck, so we actually bring our two communities together and celebrate. None of those actually take a lot of money, but what they take is champions to step up, and someone when your heart says, yeah, I can do that. So there's all kinds of opportunities for us to be all in. The fundraiser is going to run from today until April 15th, because we thought every American remembers that date. And what I'm really so excited to also announce is that our community is amazingly generous. We really are launching it today. We kind of talked about it at the Prosperity meeting last Sunday, And already people have committed $40,000 to the campaign. So it's really wonderful. There's a number of ways you can give. I want to make sure I remember that. This particular QR code goes directly to the code that is for the spring 2026 fundraiser. If you go through Tithely, scroll down, you have to pick that line item to make sure it goes into that line item of the spring fundraiser. And of course, you can always either drop off or send a check. Or put a check some week into the butterfly net. All those are ways to give. But I just want to thank you all. This is an amazing community, and I want to thank all the people who made this particular service happen today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. And now, let's share together.
Oh, sure. We're having choir practice today, but there's so many wonderful things going on that I know our choir maybe is torn. So let's just meet here as soon as the service is over, and we can just go through that one little song, okay? And I just also want to say Danny has a wonderful songbook for sale out in the hall, and there's other merchandise out there. So check out the tables. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Let us now share together our affirmative prayer for our new minister. We are open and receptive to the right and perfect Unity minister to accept our invitation to lead, serve, and guide Unity of Charlottesville into our next phase of vibrant ministry. We see this process unfolding with ease, grace, wisdom, and understanding, all in divine timing. We give thanks that it is so and release this prayer to the universe in the name and after the nature of the Christ within. And so we have lots of thank yous today. Thank you to our music team, Amy and Luke. Thank you so much. Come on, give them some love. Woo! Give them some love. Our welcome team, Fred, Jean, and Barbara. Yes. Our musical guests, the La-Da-Das, and Danny Schmidt. Yes, come on, you can stand up if you want to. And our music director, Blair Jones. And our Unity of Charlottesville band, the one and only. And our praise singers. Yes. And let's give them some love again. Our very own Peggy, Rooth, and Stevie Meyer. We love you all so much, all of you. Thank you. We love all of you for being here. Thank you for all the tremendous gifts you all shared today. You fed our hearts, and you fed our souls, and you fed our spirits, and we are blessed. Thank you so much. And we got Blair next week. What could be better than that? So let us now share our peace song. Sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, unite.
our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love of God. The power of God protects me. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over me. I am the presence of God. For wherever I am, God is. And all is well. Amen. Have a beautiful day. Peggy, do you want to, or Stevie? Oh, Peggy? Peggy, you want to?
Go and see.
Remember to go out and wear your beautiful tapestry. That coat is yours.